Good evening, everyone. Ooh, that's loud. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's budget hearing for the proposed fiscal year 24-25 city budget. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce our interpreter, Mario Barajas, for today's meeting. Mario?
Thank you, Jeff. Hello, my name is Mario Barajas. I'm going to be serving as today's Spanish interpreter. I'll introduce myself to our Spanish-speaking residents and give a couple of brief announcements to them as well. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Mario Barajas y voy a estar sirviendo como el intérprete a los de habla hispana. Quisiera informarles de que si acaso necesitan el servicio de intérprete, pueden acudir hacia acá enfrente con un servidor para que puedan conseguir los auriculares para poder escuchar la interpretación. Si acaso van a dar un comentario público, les pedimos de, por favor, pueden hacer pausas después de cada una o dos oraciones y también, también tratar de hablar lentamente para poder interpretarles de la mejor manera posible. Gracias. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Mario. Now I'd like to turn it over to the Councilwoman Keisha Hodge-Washington for opening remarks from the district.
Thank you so much, Jeff. It's kind of loud. I want to say thank you to everyone for coming out today. Having community input is so important in ensuring that your needs are heard and we can act accordingly. I also want to say a special thank you to our budget and research department for ensuring that we have a fiscally sound pathway forward as a city. But we are here to hear from all of your concerns, and thank you to all of our city staff in attendance. And at this time, I'll turn it back over to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Councilwoman. So before we begin today's discussion on the proposed trial budget, we would like to play a 2-minute video about the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. The Master Plan will define the community's vision and guide the department's direction for the next 10 years and beyond, and the Parks and Recreation Department strongly encourages resident feedback. Can we play the video now, please?
Welcome to the City of Phoenix Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Phoenix Parks and Recreation is dedicated to making Phoenix a better place to live, visit, and play. In this video, we will be answering 3 basic questions. 1. What is a master plan? 2. What is the focus of Phoenix Parks and Recreation's master plan? And 3. How can you get involved? First, what is a master plan? A master plan develops a clear purpose for our department and the vision for recreation facilities, programs, and services for the next decade. A master plan provides an opportunity to receive quality feedback and have meaningful engagement from the community. The Phoenix Parks and Recreation Master Plan will start in fall of 2023 and last approximately 18 months. Second, what is the focus of this master plan? As part of our master plan, Phoenix Parks and Recreation will be evaluating and taking inventory of all existing parks, recreation programming, and facilities, with an emphasis on water conservation and crime prevention. We will also assess community demographics and recreation trends to ensure equitable access to programs and services, and will evaluate how the department prioritizes funding. Lastly, how can you get involved? A large part of the master plan depends on you and your feedback. Phoenix Parks and Recreation will host community workshops, send out surveys, attend community events, survey neighborhoods and parks facilities, and work with community groups to receive feedback about our parks and recreation amenities and services. It's crucial to have public feedback throughout the entire process because, after all, our department serves thousands of Phoenicians every day. Thank you for being part of this journey as we pave the way for the next decade of parks and recreation services, creating spaces for all.
All right, thank you. So now we move into the budget hearing, and I want to let everyone know that the feedback that we received today is vitally and critically important as we propose the trial budget to present to City Council. So your input today, it may be heard and considered before the budget is approved. The proposed budget will be presented to City Council on May 7th and voted on May 21st. As presented to the City Council on February 27th and March 19th, the fiscal year 24-25 general fund budget includes a one-time surplus of approximately $80 million. Unfortunately, due to the state's actions to eliminate residential rental sales tax effective January 2025 and their decision to reduce the individual income tax rate to the current flat tax, deficits are projected for fiscal year 25-26 and fiscal year 26-27. Because the city is required to adopt a balanced budget, it's important that we recommend that we set aside the $80 million one-time surplus so that it may be used to be available and to help us balance the fiscal year 25-26 budget. If you wish to speak at today's hearing on the proposed budget, please fill out a comment card. If you don't want to speak but want to leave a comment, you can fill out a comment card and check the box "No to Speak." Another way to participate is through the Fund Phoenix online tool. This budget tool allows you to provide direct feedback on the proposed budget and is available at Phoenix.gov/budget. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, we'll play the 5-minute video on the proposed trial budget. This video includes information on the General Obligation, or GO bond program, of which the Councilwoman was very instrumental in making sure our residents passed that in November. And then immediately following that video, we'll move into the speaker comments. So could we cue the video, please?
The City of Phoenix trial budget for fiscal year 2024-2025, proposed by the Phoenix City Manager, is ready for public review and comment. A trial budget is a preliminary draft of the actual budget, estimating resources and costs to deliver services to the community for the coming fiscal year. How does Phoenix's annual budget work? The city budget is made up of 3 funds: the General Fund, Enterprise Funds, and Special Revenue Funds. The General Fund is made up of general sales tax, property taxes, revenue distributed by the state from income tax, sales tax, and vehicle tax, and some fines and fees. The General Fund supports many of the core services our residents, visitors, and businesses have come to expect in Phoenix, including libraries, parks, senior and youth programs, and police and fire services. Enterprise funds include city departments that only charge the people who use their services directly, like water and sewer, airline passengers at Sky Harbor, and trash and recycling customers. Finally, special revenue funds earmarked for specific purposes, from grants and voter-approved sales taxes dedicated for parks and preserves, transportation, and public safety. That's how Phoenix gets its money. Now, how do we spend it? Phoenix has a long history of responsible budgeting, ensuring resources are balanced to projected expenses each fiscal year. A top priority of the City Council is to ensure the public can engage in the budget development process every year, giving the community a voice in the future of our city. Residents have multiple opportunities to provide their input ahead of final budget decision-making scheduled for May 21st. Each year, departments work with budget and research to estimate costs to deliver existing programs and services, and staff forecast what resources will be available to pay for services. The city manager then proposes a trial budget in March that identifies how resources should best be allocated to ensure a balanced budget each fiscal year and to achieve city council and community priorities. Then we ask for your input at community budget hearings in April by using the Fund Phoenix interactive budget tool, available in English and Spanish, or by contacting the city directly to ensure the budget reflects the priorities of our residents and city council. After receiving your input, the city council will vote on the budget in May and legally adopt the budget in June. State law requires the city's budget to be balanced, and this year the 2024-25 proposed budget includes a projected one-time general fund surplus of $80 million. However, the state legislative and executive branches recently made decisions that reduce the city's tax base. Senate Bill 1131 eliminates residential rental tax, and Senate Bill 1828 reduced individual income tax rates. The total general fund estimated impact in fiscal year 2024-25 is $54 million, and for fiscal year 25-26, $86 million from the state's actions. Due to the estimated ongoing revenue losses, city staff is projecting future deficits in fiscal years 2025-26 and 2026-27. And it is for this reason the city manager is proposing to set aside and reserve the $80 million one-time surplus to ensure future budgets can remain balanced and to preserve existing programs and services such as police and fire, parks, libraries, neighborhood and human services, and other essential community programs that can continue to be delivered to the community. We encourage you to provide your input in whatever way works best for you. You can use Fund Phoenix, an interactive budget tool in English and Spanish that lets you provide direct feedback on the proposed fiscal year 2024-25 general fund trial budget, or by email at budget.research@phoenix.gov. You can comment to the city's social media pages at CityofPhoenixAZ on Facebook or on X using hashtag PHXBudget. Or call us at 602-262-4800. The city manager will present his proposed budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 to Phoenix City Council on May 7th, 2024. The council's budget decision will take place on May 21st, 2024. All resident feedback will be shared with City Council so they may consider it before making final budget decisions. As a reminder, in November 2023, voters approved a $500 million general obligation bond program made up of 47 projects citywide. Projects include new and improved fire stations, parks, libraries, community and recreation centers, regional pools and splash pads, street and storm drain infrastructure improvements, projects for art facilities, and resources for affordable housing, renewable energy, and water efficiency projects. GeoBond projects are paid for with secondary property taxes, and projects are starting this summer. More information can be found online at Phoenix.gov/bond. Thank you for engaging in the budget process and helping build the Phoenix of tomorrow.
We will now call the names of the speakers. Each speaker will have approximately 2 minutes for your comments. When your name is called, please approach the microphone to the far right. We will begin. As a reminder to the audience, we do have Spanish interpretation available for those that require it. And with that, I'll turn it over to the councilwoman to call the names.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We will begin with Jeannie Ann Sumner.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. Thank you also, Councilwoman Hodge Washington, for your support of the 44th Community Alliance efforts in Pierce Park. Thanks to Director Self of NSD for following through on last year's request for the Graffiti Busters permission slip option online and supporting the Citizens Law Enforcement Anti-Graffiti Initiative with the City of Phoenix graffiti brochure, and Betsy Cable for her support. I support NSD's Blight Buster program request, as NSD coordinating with Phoenix Cares has had a positive impact in our neighborhood. Pam Jones and Lisa Hubbard are terrific. Thanks to Director Aguilar for her and the Parks Board support, multiple supports in keeping our neighborhood parks safe. I support adding funding to allow park ranger and vehicle coverage 24/7. I support a volunteer coordinator position to promote a parks volunteer program. I support the CIP and the Old Crosscut Canal Park for the aged out and broken irrigation system, and I look forward for ways to replace some of the grass and other landscaping. I support adding a assistant city manager position to oversee the homeless services and programs. I've experienced the benefit of City Manager Barton, the Office of Homeless Solutions, NSD, PD, Parks, and Balt School District coordinating their efforts in both Pierce, the Old Crosscut Canal Parks, and Arcadia Crossing. I support the homeless services outreach in obtaining identification, securing forms, transportation, and benefit assistance for individuals. I support adding a Planner 3 position to the Office of Customer Advocacy to support this vacant storefront program and expand the adaptive reuse program. I support PD's request for civilian investigators and hiring additional officers. I also support adding a real-time operations center in Mountain View Precinct. Soon, please. The one item I don't support is street sweeping. I don't find the value in the dusty air and the small rocks that come flying out from the back of the street sweepers. But as a member of the 44th Community Alliance Steering Committee, we respectfully request the budget for Pierce Park to include additional trees, programming, such as fitness classes and activities, and we do regret the pool not opening at all this summer. We support finding funding to remodel the bathrooms and the park. And in the Old Crosscut Canal Park, we support consideration be given to design changes, additional trees, park property lines identified from McDowell to Thomas Roads, and thank you to Public Works. After the last budget meeting, they're looking at replacing the trash can lids. We understand the bus stops from 44th Street from Thomas to Washington and 44th to 48th Streets are on the list to be considered for SEPTED benches. We support additional funding in this budget to complete the list. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Isaac Cerna. Isaac Cerna. Oh, there you go. I'm sorry. No, my apologies.
Good afternoon. My name is Isaac Cerna, and I was born and raised here in Phoenix. I have 2 issues and 2 comments. My first issue is fire stations and public safety. South of the river, we only have 5 stations. 3 east to central, 2 west to central. Response times are way too high. I'm old. If something happens, I want the fire department there as soon as possible. I don't want to sit here and wait 10, 15 minutes. And, you know, I'm very glad of the work that they do. So we do need at least 1 more fire station south of the river, at least. If we can get 2 or more, that's very beneficial. Next thing I want to talk about is our youth. I've been working with Parks and Recs since I got out of the Navy in 1995. They do a fantastic job. Our youth are our future. If we do not focus on them and the way things are going, we're going to lose them. And they are our greatest natural resource. So we got to work with them. We got to work in conjunctions with schools, churches, neighborhoods, and with the city's help, they'll blossom. But we got to give them that guidance and direction. That is our main job, and we got to remember that. Last, I want to give a big shout out to all the city employees. Without you guys, we are nothing. So understand that the more things that you take on responsibilities, the more work you do, be proud. Make sure the city takes care of you because you're the ones who are taking care of us. So I want to give you guys a big round of applause and thank you guys. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for that. Our next speaker is Brandon McGill.
Hello, my name is Brandon McGill, an artist and resident of District 8. First, I want to thank the Phoenix City Council for their continued investment in the creative community. Supporting arts programs, grants, and institutions like the Irish Cultural Center create a profound ripple effect. I understand that there are tough decisions ahead on the budget, but now is not the time to take away from such an essential economic partner. The funding you provide through the community art grants has always returned handsomely in local government revenue, but more importantly, you are changing actual lives. Myself, my friends, and my peers have been impacted by heavy economic uncertainty and struggle with finding work, let alone a job that utilizes our actual skills, which is art. It's the catchy music you enjoy in your car, the hilarious comedy crafted by writers, or the joy you feel when you're cosplaying Nicole Kidman in an AMC theater. The magic of art is undeniable, and we have a real opportunity to support it here. I've painted nearly 2,000 bodies with a paintbrush, so as you can imagine the conversations I've had and the people I've transformed. From drag artists to scientists to moms, we all have one thing in common. We want to make an impact. You have an opportunity here. The legislation and executive draft budgets have proposed a 0 allocation for the Arizona Commission on the Arts in the 2025 state budget. I recommend we continue funding this program, and if anything, examine how we can strengthen our commitment. Everything around you, from the clothes that you wear to the phone that you hold, was inspired, influenced, or designed by a thoughtful artist. Yet many of those same creatives are overworked, underpaid, and lack concrete support. It's time to grow those relationships, using our local artists to revitalize these public parks, planting the seeds of prosperity for Phoenix. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Our next speaker is Barbara Cook. Sure.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Amy S. I can't. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, City Manager Barton and Councilman Hodge Washington. My name is Amy Schwabenlander, representing the Human Services Campus, Inc., now doing business as Keys to Change. I'm the CEO there and here to, one, thank the city for including the funding for homeless shelter and services, for creating the Office of Homeless Solutions, which has managed to bring a whole slew of new services, outreach, engagement, and shelter for our unhoused neighbors. I'm not here to make a specific ask to add to the budget. I know that's challenging. However, our concern is that the budget doesn't include things that go from prevention of homelessness, helping people to stay in the homes, helping them with rent assistance, utility assistance, through services and interventions that are already in our community and may not be built into that Office of Homeless Solutions budget. And so as our current funding runs out through the American Rescue Plan Act, there are services that we've added in the last few years that we are concerned that they may go away. And then we need that connection to housing and having housing choice for people who may need supportive housing, permanent supportive housing, maybe they need short-term assistance in accessing an affordable apartment. Would appreciate seeing a continuity or a continuum in the city's plan and the city's budget so that we're helping people stay where they already are if they have a home and serving them quickly if they lose their housing and having that housing choice. We know from the Human Services Campus, now the Key Campus, that we have assessed over 7,700 single adults, 7,700 adults are waiting for housing in Maricopa County. Of those, almost 2,000 are waiting for permanent supportive housing, that ongoing rent subsidy and supportive services, and another 761 have been assessed for what we consider rapid rehousing, which is short-term assistance with rent and supportive services. So appreciate everything the city has done, and of course, as you know, homelessness is on the rise. We don't see an end to homelessness anytime soon and would appreciate consideration for those other types of interventions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy. Our next speaker is Annie Eldon.
Good evening. My name is Annie Eldon. I am a resident of District 4, but I do ride my bike in District 8 sometimes and quite enjoy it, but I'm sure there are ways that I could enjoy it much more. Thank you so much, City Manager Barton. Thank you, Councilwoman Hodge Washington, for hosting tonight, and also especially for adding the virtual budget hearings, which I really pushed for last year. Thank you so much. I went to it on Saturday. There were quite a few people that came. It was amazing. And thank you for being there, Councilwoman, as well. So I am the president of Phoenix Spokespeople, a nonprofit that focuses on like street safety and bicycle safety. And we are asking for the following things to be funded. First of all, please ensure that there are funds to continue to build protected bike lanes on 3rd Street from Lincoln to Roosevelt. South Phoenix is still quite segregated from the rest of Phoenix, and this bike lane is one way to begin to build a connection. It also furthers the goal of creating a north-south bikeway. Next, please continue to fund Complete Streets by creating a designated Complete Streets position in the Streets Transportation Department. This way, they would be able to focus on specific ways to make streets complete and just really be able to focus on that. Thirdly, please continue to fund and implement project suggestions from the Phoenix CAN program. This is a fabulous program that's really focused on working with the community. Right now, they are doing very in-depth surveys with community members to try to improve streets and neighborhoods in South Phoenix, or South Mountain and Central Phoenix. So those are open until April 30th. So if you're able to take them, come find me afterward. I can help you find the link for that. They're both in English and Spanish. They're just very focused on improving the neighborhood, so please continue to support that. And in general, we'd like to have a designated fund for completing quick build projects. A lot of these things can be as simple as painting bike lanes on an extra wide street or adding a crosswalk sign. So many of these could come from the Phoenix CAN program. So please continue to support that, and it would be a huge benefit. We realize that the city budget is limited and precious, and there are many things that need to be funded. Supporting these requests by Phoenix spokespeople would create a safer, more enjoyable space for all of our residents. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much, Annie. Our next speaker is Michael Johnson.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Barton, Councilwoman Hodges, for putting on this bond hearing, this budget hearing so we can. I want to say, first of all, I still love District 8. I do support the city budget, so just wanted to throw that in there. But what I want to do is talk about a program that my co-founder, Beatrice Johnson, and I found called, I'm almost forgetting my own words. I'm nervous up here. Sankofa Humanitarian Project, which is going to be a project working with young men 18 to 24 years old. They will come into the program. They will be in the program for 90 days. They can stay in the program for up to a year, but the 90 days they have to be in the program. We're going to provide housing for them where they will be able to have their own rooms so they can get adjusted. We'll be working with foster kids that's aged out of foster care, or some kids who have actually been in the juvenile system, good kids, but still trying to get their lives together. We'll provide services for them where when they finish the program, they will be able to either go back to school, go to college, go to ASU. We've partnered and talked with Dr. Crow at ASU. If they want to get a GED or get some type of job, if they want to go into a service job, then we have already talked to Mario Diaz, and we'll work with the unions because they have trade jobs that they can actually give the kids where they would teach them a trade and learn them that trade. My reason for being here today, for us being here today, is that a great part of the Four Corners Project, one of the main things that was in that Four Corner Project was the youth project that was actually there, an amphitheater to actually be there. What we want to do is be able to access that property, some of that property there between 24th and 28th Street, to be able to access some of that property so that we can start building and start getting the project together so that what we would have is something. I know that the councilwoman is also concerned about this zip code being the #1 area for people that are returning for prison. We want to help eliminate some of those by giving these young kids. I retired from Phoenix Police Department as a homicide investigator. I served on the city council for 12 years, and I also served on the clemency board. So I had plenty of opportunity to learn and see, especially with that clemency board, these young men that are coming out of being incarcerated. That age 18 to 24 years old is very vital for two reasons. Is that a lot of them are either homeless or about to be homeless or helpless, or they don't have anyone to work with them or to teach them. That's what we want to do. So my main goal for here is ask the city, at least start the conversation to be able to utilize some of that property that was designated in the beginning to do youth services programs in an amphitheater so that we can start this program. And as you know, having land is the #1 key to success of that project. This library right here was built in conjunction with the Maricopa Community Colleges in the city of Phoenix because they had some bond money, but they had land already available that this library could actually be built on. That's how it was done. Downtown Phoenix was built and started because the city of Phoenix owned that land or purchased that land after trying to get the Cardinal Stadium downtown. So I would just like that to be on the board, something that we can talk about and something that we can partner with so that we can actually help change the lives of some of these youth. Only 3% of kids that's been in foster care ever get the opportunity. I won't say they don't get the opportunity, but they don't go to college. They don't, in a lifetime, 3% of them will never go to college. And so those are the things that we're looking for, and those are the things that we want to make sure that we're able to install. So, Councilwoman, City Manager, I do thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak here at our budget hearing, but we're really important and really is something that we as a city ought to be seriously involved in, because when I was on the police department, we had Project Aware, we had DARE programs, we had Officer Friendly programs, we worked in the Boys Club. The problem with that is that when those kids turn 18 years old, all the programming, all the services, all the things that was provided for them no longer exist. And I'm working with kids now who are in those programs that have been incarcerated 2, 3, 4 times because they didn't have services once they were released out of those programs. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Mark Beechler. Mark.
My name is Sam. I'm here.
Mark Beeler.
Here in bed.
Oh.
My name is Sam. I'm here in
Oh, sorry. Sorry. My apologies for that. You donated your time to Brian Harvey, but he said he doesn't want to speak.
Lori? Lori will speak.
All right. I don't see a card. Oh, I'll wait till Lori. Okay, perfect. Our next speaker is Angela Powell.
Evening. Thank you, City Manager, Mr. Barton, and District 8, Councilwoman Hodge Washington. I thank you for facilitating and hosting this meeting. I'm Angela Powell. I'm now a resident of South Phoenix. I was born here, of course, raised somewhere else, but I'm back now. I'm here today with Take Back Our Homes Campaign Committee, and our concern is that there's enough funding for affordable housing, an increase in affordable housing for those who can no longer afford the market value rental rates. In addition to that, we are concerned about rights to counsel. Now that we have over 5,000 evictions per month, you know, what is the aftermath for those persons? There's loads of resources that are listed, but there's not one resource that has counsel that will go into these proceedings for evictions with you. Unfortunately, 99% of those who go into eviction proceedings alone without counsel lose, although they were, although they had landlords who were in violations of health and safety issues. But nonetheless, I'm hoping that you can find and free up funding for the right of counsel so that those who are facing eviction over $5,000 per month can have counsel walk into the court with them with evictions proceedings. And most importantly, I'm hoping that the master plan will cover the increase of hydration stations in the parks, being that our summers are just so, so brutal each year. I'm hoping to find relief with that because I see that many of the parks really don't have working water hydrants. So I'm hoping that the master plan includes that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Miles Franklin.
Okay, hello everybody. I really wish there was a maybe button because I did not really want to speak. I wasn't sure. But I just want to let y'all know that I'm here with y'all and I'm glad we're all together. And I would love to speak with y'all. Some of my interests are sustainability, being sustainable in like all sense of the word, through communication, through food, and health. So if any of y'all are aligned with that, come speak. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Unity Unique. Okay, thank you. Our next speaker is Christy McCann.
Hello. Ooh. I would like to advocate for the Office of Homeless Solutions pilot program that has been working through the Levine Area Conveyance Channel and has been very successful during the last 3 months. I would like to advocate for the third shift park ranger program positions and that they continue. I would like to advocate for continued maintenance on parks and a commitment to build and complete parks such as the one planned for Levine Meadows. And I would like the City Council to continue to incentivize recruitment for police officers and firefighter positions. Thanks.
Thank you. We will go back to Unity Unique.
Greetings, everyone. So I am a native from Arizona, from Phoenix, South Phoenix, and we have seen the change over and over and over, but no answers. So I've been looking at the parks and recs. All the African-American parks and recs are closed. Why is that? I don't know. Why is the Carver Museum closed? I don't know. But it seems like our stuff is closed. So that's a problem. And then the unsheltered rate. We are building stuff at such a rate, and we have this high unsheltered going on. And when you do have programs, it's hard to get in these programs, which doesn't make no sense. We're on waiting lists. I used to be on Section 8, and the list was so long, and it makes you give up. It makes you say, you know, forget it. So in 2021, I decided to go unsheltered to see what are the unsheltered treated like. They're treated like trash. And we have so many people with homes, cars, but we want to treat our humans different. So really stepping up to that. And then also, even when it comes to school, going back to home economics, we do everything from the land. We grow from the land. We make everything, incense holders, anything that brings healing, we make instruments. So really bringing this back, because how do we know our children want to go to college? We don't. What do our children want? You know, and I'm self-taught, and I stopped going to school at 13. And to see in 2019 was when I learned I'm smart. Like, I'm doing all this stuff, and I didn't even know this stuff about myself because the system makes us dumb. It dumbs us down. So really asking, what do our babies want? Teaching them astrology, natal charts, like all this stuff that is inside us. And it's beauty when we say, yo, we have some stuff that we can really sit down and learn about our North Node, all this magic, and really rising as a community. It's going to take our money to come together, and we're always going outside ourselves. So, Councilwoman, like, you inspired me, but I've been up out of the city for a minute because I lost faith and hope in every last one of y'all. So let's really, really say what we're going to do and make this change, because we have the money and we don't have to be playing around no more, but the power is the people. We the people. That's what it says. We the people. So let's act like we are the people and stand up. And I love all of y'all.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Lori Field.
Good evening. I'm Lori File, and I'm a representative of the South Mountain Gateway Residents Association. And so on behalf of the residents in our community and in our village, we would like you to focus some significant budget dollars on making our streets safer. So with the Vision Zero Road Safety Action Plan, we're asking you to invest in our community by providing some safety accommodations for our cyclists and our pedestrians with some dedicated bike paths and some general use paths throughout the village. And we would also request that the streets maintain better traffic flow with light timing and left turn arrows so that we can perhaps decrease some of the accidents that we see along Baseline and other parts of our village. And furthermore, I think everybody kind of realizes if you've driven along Baseline trying to get to the freeway that rush hour drivers look more like they're playing Frogger, trying to go back and forth through the potholes instead of just doing their morning and evening commute. So I think the potholes in the area really need to be looked at by streets. And a lot of that damage is caused by the heavy construction equipment that's building new housing, building new commercial projects, as well as some of the street road work. So I was also going to request maybe you have an environmental fee that you attach to your construction permits to kind of offset some of the transportation and roads budget so that it's not all falling on the city. Perhaps some of these construction and developers need to take a little more responsibility for the things that they're doing to our neighborhood. And lastly, this is just a request from me personally, but we have a lot of vacant land within the whole city. We have a lot of vacant land in our village. And I would love to see the city work with some of those landowners to make some community gardens where the residents in the area can come and they can grow vegetables and flowers and learn how to come together, get some new skills, and get something from that land. It's going to reduce the dust, and it's going to probably just increase the connectivity within the city, which is a huge issue that the mayor's trying to do right now, is create that connectivity in our neighborhood. And very last, I would like to let everyone know that tomorrow evening we have a Village Planning Commission meeting, and there is a very large storage unit developer that wants to put a great big ugly box in our neighborhood. And we feel like we've got 11 storage units right now right along Baseline. Do we really need another? I don't think so. So, and once a storage unit, it will always be a storage unit. A strip mall can change its vendors regularly, but a storage facility that's a big box with no windows will always be that. So we request all of you, if you're able to come, sign a comment card in your opposition to this project that's going to try and come into our neighborhood. And once again, that connectivity and cohesiveness of everyone coming together, we do make a big, big difference in our community. I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Catherine Napoli.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Napoli. I've been a resident of South Mountain since 1996. Continuing on as a representative of the South Mountain Gateway Residents Association, addressing the District 8 budget. To continue with this big box, this safe store that wants to come in, what we don't have in the city and what we've been promised year after year after year by our officials is to bring in retail. What I'd like to see the budget have is a dedicated staff to seek out true community retail. Not more and more self-storage facilities, not more and more things that are just low-hanging fruit to be approved. Retail is what we need. Retail is what our elected officials have promised us. Retail, neighborhood retail, is what we do not have. Mystery Castle, point 2, is a Phoenix point of pride right here in South Mountain. Yet this unique attraction was granted a demolition permit. Why? We should be doing all we can. The city should be adding this to its budget to save Mystery Castle, to help the residents of South Mountain get a foundation to take over Mystery Castle and keep it. It has a long history. It's a point of pride. It is something that people come from all over to South Mountain to see. And finally, I'd like to see a little bit more money in the budget for the South Mountain Education Center. South Mountain Park is and this is debatable depending on where on Google you see it, the largest municipal park in the country, or the second largest. Rumor has it Scottsdale may beat us out. Not sure. Once upon a time, this was a thriving education center hosting events and engaging our community. Now it's open just a few days a week. We need to open it back up, bring more events that were once held there. And again, to echo Lori's sentiment, tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock, right here, one of the items on the agenda is that big box self-storage facility. We don't need another one. They are dangerous. One of my friends had a unit in a self-storage unit, and she didn't feel comfortable going in there alone. We don't need more dangerous here in South Mountain. We need retail, and I ask all of you to come tomorrow and support your village.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Sam.
Sam?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, good. I just wanted to congratulate the councilwoman and Mr. Barton. Historical appointments. And we appreciate that a whole lot. Now, I'd like to address, I've been living over here at the Princess Jean Park, which is an historical area. And I noticed the blighted alleyways. They remain blighted all the time. Some years ago, several years ago, they closed some of the alleyways. And it made a huge difference with the appearance of the neighborhood. But we still have a number of alleyways that are open, and you see this constant blight. They pick up the garbage. 2 or 3 weeks later, the place looks like it's never been picked up. So, as the 5th biggest city in the Union, I would like to submit that you would consider closing the alleyways entirely. The area that I am talking about is 24th Street and Broadway to Rosa, west to 20th Street and back to Broadway. Now, if that could be done, that would do a lot for that neighborhood. Because it just looks terrible. Constant blight all the time. So I appreciate that. Thank you for your time. And as an 80-year-old, I thank you for your patience.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Sebastian Del Portillo.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, City Manager, Council Member. Thank you for hosting this. Thanks for all the city staff that is here as well. So my name is Sebastián del Portillo. I'm an organizer with the Take Back Our Homes campaign. In 2022, we ran a campaign to ban housing discrimination. I know you mentioned that you were on the Section 8 voucher list for a long time, just kind of gave up on it. Well, people had been getting rejected as they were trying to apply to apartments with their voucher. That's now illegal. So if any of you know folks with a voucher, they can apply anywhere for any apartment and they should be accepted. If not, you should file a complaint. And so through that work, you know, we understood how deep the housing crisis goes right now. And most people are facing, you know, skyrocketing rents. It's unaffordable. And the state of Arizona has gridlocked the city, to no fault of the city, and actually, you know, passing tenant protections, improvements, being able to control the housing market is just kind of out of the scope of the city. And so we understand that, and we know there's a lot of work at the state level that we need to do to make this a place where housing is not something that is being hung over your head, and the danger of being evicted is not ever present. That is the reality of a lot of our community right now. And the eviction filings have just continued to increase. In 2022, I think the number that we were able to synthesize from the existing data was 49,000 eviction filings just in the city of Phoenix alone. And for District 8, that number is 6,391 evictions for the year 2022, which this year is going to be probably a lot worse, right? And what folks have mentioned in this room is really all about health, safety, and having communities that can thrive and live with joy, right? And I think the way that the city budget is set up right now is not really optimizing just how much we could be investing in our youth and our communities to ensure that people can live, you know, safe, healthy, stable lives in the city. There's a lot of displacement going on, either through forced eviction or through folks just not being able to afford to stay here. And what that does is it takes talent away from our communities. People that grew up here start moving from our community. And so what can the city do? And I know the city is doing a whole lot to really try to invest in our communities, but there's three, I think, main demands from our campaign. One is to increase the number of millions of dollars going into permanent supportive housing. Now, I know the city uses a lot of dollars from federal programs and all these things, but from the general fund, only $2 million from the general fund is going towards permanent supportive housing. That's a drop in the bucket of a $2 billion budget. The other thing that the city could be investing more in, and it's incredibly important that we do, is eviction prevention. So right now we have the tenant eviction assistance program. So if you are facing an eviction, there is something in the city that you can go to, and they will, you know, give you consult, maybe get you a lawyer, but we know most people don't. Only $1 million is being given towards legal assistance. Again, in a $2 billion budget, I think, I'm very bad at math, but I think that's less than 2% of the overall budget is going to actually eviction prevention, which is so small. And there's something called Right to Counsel, as Angela was mentioning. Right to Counsel is a program that's not gridlocked by the state politicians, that basically just guarantees, let's say, single mothers a right to an attorney if they go to eviction court. Actually, single mothers of color are the most at risk of eviction. And so what this does is it actually completely levels the playing field in court, and you have outstanding results in the 17 cities that have passed a right to counsel program in evictions, have seen almost a flip in the statistics where people end up staying in their homes after they go to eviction court, not being evicted from their homes. Currently, 94% of landlords are represented in eviction court. If you ever go to eviction court, just watch, it's a machine. They're just evicting people left and right every single day in our 26 or 27 Maricopa Justice Courts. And so really funding more legal eviction prevention and actually funding a complete right to counsel program for our cities is something that we direly need. We have money in our budget to invest in these things. We have an $80 million surplus. I know The city manager is doing a really good job at being fiscally responsible, as is his job, but right now, folks are being displaced, evicted forcefully. If a constable shows up to your house because you couldn't pay $3,000 for a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment, you know, they give you an hour to pack your things or leave, or things get more violent. That's just what it is. So more money for right to counsel or legal eviction prevention, more money for permanent supportive housing, and definitely more money towards water in public parks and public buildings, as we had, unfortunately, over 600 people perish last year from the heat, and that number is just looking to grow this year. So thank you very much for your time, and yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Gail Knight.
Good evening. Thank you for hosting this budget meeting this evening. Even though I live in District 8, I live in the Far East area. We never get these meetings in our area, which is from 32nd over to 56th Street, from Thomas to Washington. So it would be nice if sometime if could consider coming there. I know we've had Councilwoman Hodge Washington in our area at our library there for her inaugural invitation to everyone to get involved with District 8 office. It would be nice if we had more of those in the area as well. We have what we call the 44th Community Alliance that has been really focused on the issue of homelessness in our area, getting assistance for the homeless population, making sure that we can maintain safety and maintain clean neighborhoods. So far, with the help of Neighborhood Services Department, Parks and Rec, we have had great success in that, and we appreciate the City of Phoenix working with us on that. We are now able to utilize our park, Pierce Park. For a long time, we could not. And we want to ask that the upcoming dollars that have been allocated for Pierce Park be utilized as agreed and approved, that we do end up having the restrooms there improved so they can be used when individuals are in the park as well, and the increase of trees and repairs to our trails within the area. Crosscut Canal also needs some work there, and it would be very important for, if we can maintain the dollars that are there, don't take any of them away, and do what was decided on, and then give us more funds if there are other funds there to do that. Around the school district, I'm on the governing board of the Ball School District. Our kids that reside in that community and parents and families in that community really utilize the parks, and so it would be very important to us to make sure that they can continue to do that. On the other side of what I do a lot of work on this side of District 8, which is in the South Mountain Village area, and I wholly support the Honorable Michael Johnson's request for looking at his program that he's proposing and bringing to the community and the available areas in the community. When he talked about the Four Corners project, it was very involved in the development of the plans for the Four Corners. And the area that he's talking about in Block 1, which is 25th and Broadway, at the corner of 24th and Broadway is Broadway Heritage. The other end used to house the Community Excellence Project that is now at Brooks School. But at the same time, if the land still belongs to the city, as most of the land had in the past, it is my hope that there can be some collaborative with other private and public entities within the community. Phoenix did that very well during that time. to bring about the changes that occurred in that area. And I hope that his need to do this for our population 18 to 24, this becomes a reality, and that occurs, and that everyone, even if you don't live in the area but are interested in youth and their needs, especially the 18 to 24, they are our high-risk youth in the community, to get involved with this project. And with the situations that's going on with our transitioning out of foster care, those young people are also homeless and on the street. This program would mean a lot to the South Mountain Village as well as the East Valley community, because we need it badly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That concludes all of our speakers that have submitted a comment card that wish to speak. Thank you.
So that concludes our budget hearing this evening. Thank you for participating, and have a good evening.